Hi there and welcome to another portion of infotainment. This video counts towards your 5 a day. What's the most horrifying "how do you not know how to do this" moment you've experienced with another person whilst adulting? A friend who was pushing 40 had never paid a bill before. She had gone from living with her parents to living in a dorm to living with her parents again until she got married, then she got divorced and was living on her own for the first time. Got a text from her asking if my power was out too, then she realized it was just her. Her excuse was she never paid attention to the bills because she thought they were receipts and that the cost was included in her rent. Her water was cut off a couple weeks later and we had to talk about that, too. Every few weeks I catch my roommate trying to put his metal tea strainer in the microwave. This is in spite of the fact that our first week living in this apartment, he destroyed the microwave and had to pay for a new one because he put a metal tea strainer in the microwave. I have many great stories about my former college roommate. Two of my favorites are, she wanted to make pasta. She put a pot on the stove and poured the noodles in, no water in the pot, turned on the stove. After a while she asked me how come these aren't getting soft like when my mom makes them. She made brownies from a box. The box instructions say grease the bottom of an 8x8 pan before pouring in the brownie batter. You bet your butt this witch picked up the 8x8 pan, flipped it over, greased the bottom of it, and then flipped it back over and poured in the brownie batter. My wife's entire family not grasping that you need to put water in a steam iron. That is amazing. The fact that it is an inherited trait makes it even more glorious. My best friend was sleeping with a new guy. She said she wasn't sure of his sexual history but she was on the pill to prevent STDs. I was like traditional Chinese family. They never discuss sex or anything and if I recall she actually didn't attend health class with us due to her parents opting out. I taught her everything she knows. I even had to teach her about lube and blow jobs, so hey. She's happily married now and no, she doesn't have crazy STDs. Had a guy constantly asking what time JT is. By the 6th time I said bro, there is a clock right there. He said I don't know how to read it, grown but man. Couple weeks later on Facebook someone shared a picture of cursive writing. He made fun of the people who couldn't read it. I posted a picture of a clock and said what time does this say? He blocked me. You should teach him. I've recently started. So far I can only tell 6:30 on an analog clock but I've got that position hands down. My friend in college once lamented, I have to pee and I just put a tampon in like 5 minutes ago. I hate having to pull them out dry. Also it's such a waste. Her mother taught her that there is only one hole down there and peeing with a tampon and is not possible. It will duck up your bladder. Took a lot of me showing articles and diagrams and answering questions to convince her there are, indeed, 2 holes. She peed while the tampon was still in and called her mother in utter shock to share the good news. I had a roommate at university whose cooking method was put baked beans in a Tupperware, seal the lid, turn on microwave, when lid pops and explodes beans everywhere they're cooked. One time I came home to find the oven on and smoking a bit. Opened the door to find what was an entire lasagna bubbling on the bottom of the oven. He bought himself a frozen lasagna. Step 1 remove outer packaging. Step 2 place on middle tray of preheated oven. He literally thought that outer packaging was anything outside of the lasagna, so he tore away that shell that the lasagna cooks in and placed it straight on the rack, so as it defrosted it just fell through the rack and all over the oven. I remember when I first started dating my now husband, I was hanging out at his apartment waiting for him to get out of work. His place was a bit messy so I decided I'd tidy up for him a bit. Fast forward to the next morning and he comes in a little shocked. Why would you load the dishwasher like that? I had never had a dishwasher before in my life. We're talking cups facing up, big butt pans shoved in, the whole 9 yards. Thank God he stuck with me lol. 19 Yo dude, how do you cook a fried egg? Gave him instructions and left him to it. Came back a while later to ask how it went. Fine in the end but it took a few attempts because the yolk kept breaking. What do you mean kept breaking? Well I kept throwing them away because I thought breaking the yolk made it poisonous. Once again, he was 19 years old. Ooh I got one. I work as an EMT for a private company, so we mostly deal with nursing homes and the elderly. One day when I was about 6 to 8 months in, I got assigned a partner who was in my orientation class. He was a little older than me at the time, like mid-20s, but he seemed a little childish. Maybe he's just sheltered, I think to myself. Anyways, we got a patient I've had a few times before. She was a sweet, little old lady with COPD and CHF living at an assisted living. Call was for pneumonia. She's prone to this stuff, so it wasn't a huge deal. Slap her on oxygen and keep her sitting up till we get to the hospital. The first red flag though, was this kid didn't know anything. He didn't know how to take a blood pressure. He couldn't find the medical history or medication on the paperwork, which is clearly labeled. He didn't even push the stretcher, just walked next to it with a hand on it. When I asked him about all that, he said my partners usually do that for me. So, I put her on an oxygen mask and sit her all the way up, mildly agitated. I tell myself it's just one shift with this kid. He's in the back with her and I tell him to just switch the oxygen from the bag, which is a small tank, to the main tank, which is huge, because with the amount of oxygen we're giving her, the bag will run out not even halfway before the hospital. It's about 25 minutes, which normally wouldn't be a huge deal. But when we pull up to the hospital and I open the back doors, I'm ducking shook. The oxygen mask isn't inflated, meaning she isn't getting oxygen. She's pale as poop. I can literally see her accessory muscles moving, struggling to breathe. And this kid was sitting behind her, with a clueless half smile on his face, looks at me and says the main tank is broken, so I left her on the bag. This woman, who needs oxygen without pneumonia, was barely breathing for at least 15 minutes. And this freaking idiot didn't even check. We take her into the hospital. I ask him to find an oxygen tank while explain to this woman's daughter what happened. He says he doesn't know where to look. I effing find it and told him to talk to the daughter. Roommate in college was 22, had lived in an apartment for 3 years prior to moving in together. Legitimately did not know how to remove a trash bag from a trash can. We had the simplest trash can possible, had never turned on an oven before, and, my favorite, complained one day that their bathroom was always sopping wet every time they showered. Finally realized that they never put up a shower curtain. They learned quickly and became a pretty good cook by the time I moved out, but man, their parents really never prepared them for living alone. Worked at an on-campus store that sold a lot of essentials for students living at dorms. I had one girl ask me what laundry detergent was because she never did laundry. She asked if I could help her do her laundry, but I declined as I couldn't leave the register, which of course she was mad about. Sorry, I have to actually do my job, lady. In a weird way I am jealous of those people. I've done crap like that since I was physically able to, and I can honestly say they haven't missed much. I appreciate how, hopefully, it's shaped me into a better person, but come on, it's boring AF. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.